On today's Hashi, I'm discussing the September PCE report, what it means for inflation, pending home sale confusion from mainstream media, an increase in housing demand, and weekly unemployment reports. Today is Thursday, October 31st, 2024. Happy Halloween. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Good morning. Good morning. Not a warning here, but good morning, and welcome into this Halloween edition of the Hot Sheet. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're getting value from everything we do here on the Hot Sheet and at BAM here on the Now BAM YouTube channel. Let me know in the live chat which market you're tuning in from. Also, today in the live chat, let me know who you're voting for president. Just put like a K or a T. You know, who are you voting for, K or T? Just throw that in the live chat, if you will, with a couple days left here before the election. I'm glad to see none of you guys are actually taking that bait. That was an insane. I see Ruthie took the bait. Come on, Ruthie. She double hit it. Michael's hitting it. Okay, well, that was an insane joke. You guys actually don't really have to do that. Just having a little bit of fun there. So on Halloween. Anyways, we got a whole bunch here to cover. If you want to get the most out of what we do at BAM, join the BAMX platform. Use code HOT to get into BAMX today. All BAMX members right now are benefiting from the Zudelio platform, branded to you to help you get more listings. That comes now with everything else we do at BAMX. Make sure you subscribe to BAMX. That was an insane comment. I do see some of you guys took that bait, and listen, no matter what, everybody can get along, no matter which side you're on. That's a beautiful thing about what we do here at BAM and in the Hot Sheet live chat. So, all right, let's get into this PCE report. So this is the preferred indicator for the Fed. Okay, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index is the preferred indicator that the Fed uses. The CPI is what the markets tend to look at. The PCE is what the Fed likes to look at. Okay, so there was some good here, and there was some, maybe not as good, right? So there was some numbers that were beating expectations out of this PCE report, and some numbers that were maybe a little bit hotter than expected. Okay, so overall, the key Fed inflation rate hit 2.1% in September. That's as expected. Okay, that headline number, you might say, wow, 2.1%. I mean, we're basically at the 2.0% that the Fed wants on inflation. Okay, so this is, again, the 0.2% increase for the month in September, and the 2.1% on the 12-month inflation, both in line with Dow Jones estimates. And the Fed does use this PCE reading as their primary inflation gauge. Okay, they have that target of 2%. Now, when you take that number and you exclude food and energy, it's higher. Okay, so when you exclude food and energy, that number came in at 2.7% for the year. That number is higher than what was expected. My apologies there on the screen. I'm going to get myself hooked up. So 2.7% excluding food and energy, coming in hotter. So with food and energy, lower, excluding food and energy, higher than expected. So two different ways to look at the PCE. And see if this works for me. Maybe not yet. It will here in a second. Here we go. All right. So again, PCE for change from 1 month, from month 1 year ago. PCE in May came in at 2.6, 2.4 in June, 2.5 in July, 2.3 in August, and September 2.1. So the overall PCE, you see a trend moving down there consistently all the way till now. That's a great sign. Okay, and that beat expectations or matched expectations on the 2.1, I should say. Now, when you exclude food and energy, we've been pretty much flatlined there. Okay. So food and energy are bringing this number down over the last 5 months. When you exclude it, we've been just kind of sitting at 2.7%. We had 2.6 there in June, but 2.7 really across the board. So we're not there yet, obviously, but to meet expectations on the overall headline number, that's a good thing. And we'll see. Obviously, the markets had really no reaction. We'll see what happens throughout the day, but just kind of looking at the 10-year right off the rip here, we're still hovering around 4.3, and that's where we were yesterday. So still pretty high relative to where we want to be on the 10-year. This would be one sign that, hey, the Fed is getting to their goal. We're getting closer to that. And, the economy is strong. People are, some of the numbers of expenses are going up. This is signs of a strong economy. In fact, Wall Street Journal is claiming that the next president, whoever that may be, is going to inherit a remarkable economy. Okay. I think real estate folks that are dealing with the everyday consumer might argue a different position there. But the Wall Street Journal says the high quality of recent economic growth should put a wind in the back of the White House's next occupant. Whoever wins the White House next week will take office with no shortage of challenges, but at least one huge asset: economy that is putting its peers to shame. The U.S. economy has grown 2.7% over the past year. It's outrunning every other major developed economy. Economies are basically companies, right? Or countries are. Not to mention its own historical growth rate. So the growth rate is historic, but the debt is also historic, and the interest we're paying on debt is historic. So not sure if I would use remarkable for our economy with where the debt is. We talked about this week, where the amount of debt and the interest we're paying on debt is going to keep these rates higher for longer unless we have job loss, and nobody wants to see job loss. So we're kind of stuck in a position where we're going to have high interest rates, because who wants to hold America's bonds with the amount of debt that we have? Okay. So in order for the economy to be where it is, 2.7 growth, we had to go out and borrow even more and more and more money and increase that deficit, right? The majority of that growth actually comes from government spending. It's something that, when you see, the economy is growing, so well, or beating all these other economies. Yeah, they're not taking out the debt that we are. Okay. They're not growing their deficit at the level that we are. So not sure, Wall Street Journal, if I would use remarkable, but that's the case there. As we sit here and ponder that Wall Street Journal article, we now have 10-year up at 4.30, so over the 4.3 mark, just previously at the 4.2. So as the market digests that PCE numbers, some of the good, some of the bad, a little bit meeting expectations, a little bit hotter, excluding food and energy, you can see that there's really no movement there in the 10-year. And I don't know how to read into that, other than it's still a bumpy road on the inflation. I don't know if this changes anything for the Fed's meeting next week, which will come after the election. CME Group doesn't believe that there's going to be much of a change as of this morning, at 96% that there'll be a quarter point. Maybe you could make the argument, with inflation continuing to, overall trend towards 2%, that they could do a December cut. December cut, obviously up in the air over the last couple of weeks with the strong job data, but we'll see what happens. If you've been paying attention to headlines over the past 24 hours, as NAR's pending sale data came out yesterday, it might look like something like this. Reuters, for example, says U.S. pending home sales jump. Thanks for the ad there, Reuters. Man, Reuters is one of the worst websites to click around, but there we go. We've got it. U.S. pending home sales jump the most in more than 4 years, NAR says. That's actually not true. I don't even know. And in defense of NAR, they're not even saying that. So you're seeing headlines in mainstream media that don't understand housing. This is going to confuse your clients. It's going to confuse your customers. Wow, I'm gonna list my home. I hear pending home sale. I should sell this very quickly. Should sell in a second. A la 2021 or early 2022. Man, pending home sales. This is the most in 4 years. We're back to 4 years ago. Let's go. Let's rip and roar. This isn't true. NAR is not even saying that. Okay, just go to NAR site. Reuters pending home sales in September bounced 7.4% to the highest level since March. Okay, like ChatGPT could have figured this out, Reuters. Compared to 1 month ago, pending home sales climbed in all 4 major U.S. regions. We'll get into those numbers. Year over year, contract signings grew in the Northeast and West and were unchanged in the Midwest and the South. We'll take a look at that. But mainstream media is going to do its best job at butchering the housing market over and over and over again. They don't understand housing. They have little housing departments in each one of these news outlets. And it's usually somebody who's never been in the game themselves. They don't understand it. So make sure that you're, at least when you see these headlines, you're getting the real data and able to educate your clients in the right way. Amy Nixon on X kind of set it up for us in her tweet. Pending home sales surge in September. This is what the media headlines, mainstream media, are screaming. But look at the chart below. Okay. The white line to the left is the pre-pandemic healthy housing market. Okay. Where we were from 18, 19 and in early 20, obviously, on pending home sales. That's what a normal pending sale flow looks like. Then obviously we printed a bunch of money to combat COVID. Those numbers shot up even, higher than what healthy would be considered in 21 and 20, late 20, 21, early 22. And then in order to kind of correct the overprinting money machine, the Fed had to jack up those rates. They went skyrocketing at a historic rate. And you can see pending sales just completely drop off a cliff. So this little uptick right here, if you're watching, it's a very small uptick into the 70s as NAR. We'll go over what that means. This 70 number on pending home sales. This is the highest since March of this year. In fact, March was higher. In fact, you had higher numbers in 2023. You had higher numbers, and I don't know where Reuters is getting 4 years. They're out of their minds. But this uptick is coming off of historic all-time lows, bottom of the barrel numbers for pending home sales. So let's not overexcite the market with misinformation. When this little bounce back is good news, the month of September, hey, good news in a month when you can, sometimes see a real receding of pending home sales. I don't expect this number to continue when we look at October. October, for many that I've talked to, was one of the slowest months. I see a big drop off coming in October. Okay, when the data comes out, and a lot of that has to do with freezing up before the election. A lot of that has to do with the natural time of the year as people start to wind down. And there's not going to be good data for October. So we're going to be right back down to bottom of the barrel, low historic numbers on this pending home sales. What else happened in September? September, we had 6% interest rates. We have 7% now. And in October, they were going up. September 11th, we saw the lowest interest rate we've seen in months. And the dates surrounding that, we were trending towards the low sixes. Now we're up over 7%. October, we've been trending up. So it's no coincidence the closer we get to 6, if we could ever get into the high 5s and kind of hang around that range. I mean, imagine if we were running at a 5.75 rate on the 30-year in the spring. That'd be incredible. We know what kind of activity would be. We know that there'd be a month over month over month pop all spring on contract signings, on pending home sales. It'd be significant. We know what kind of pent-up demand there is, but the affordability of housing with these rates, it doesn't match up for a lot of buyers. I said on the Real Word this week that the number 20 opportunity on the opportunity report was about affordable housing. I said, wow, I think T360 came out with a new slogan for the industry in 25, make housing affordable again. In fact, I tweeted that out there. Okay. That is not a political statement. That is an obvious statement. What could help housing more than being affordable? And the shortest path to affordable housing is getting the rate lower. So we need to see that. By the way, mentioning that T360 opportunity report, which is a 114-page report. I previewed it on the Real Word podcast here on the channel on Tuesday. I will be interviewing on Knowledge Brokers podcast tomorrow, Friday, Jack Miller, the CEO of T360, where that report was created. It was just released. If you're interested in making sure that you hear from Jack, then make sure you're subscribed to the Knowledge Brokers channel. It's a separate channel here on YouTube, separate channel on Spotify and Apple Pods, of course. So we'll put those links down below so you don't miss that tomorrow. Here's the actual pending home sale data, though, as promised. We're at an index of, I said that 70 number, 75.8. So month over month, we had a pop of 77.4%. Great. Okay. I mean, we don't want to be at 75.8. What does 75.8 mean? An index above 100 coincides with a higher level of activity relative to 2001. Okay. If you're considering 2001 before a run up a normal market, we're 3/4 of a normal market. We're 75% of what a normal market in 2001 would look like. We have a bigger population in 2001. We have more home buyers in 2000 than 2001. We have more demand pent up. I know the demand doesn't show it in, we have the lowest demand since 1995 as per current mortgage applications and all of that. But the pent up demand, go poll as many Gen Z folks as you want, or millennials. Do you have a desire to be a homeowner? We looked at yesterday's stat. There's 30 renters to every one home for sale. We have low inventory. We have all of these things that are kind of coinciding that should create a much more robust market than 2001. Yet we're 75% of that. Here's the look on September of how each region performed. Midwest is running in line with the nation at 75 on the index, month over month up 7.1. So Midwest mirroring what the national numbers are. Northeast is and the West is really lagging behind. Northeast, of course, has the lowest inventory of any of the four regions. Month over month, those did see an increase of 6.5%. West at 64 on the index, 9.8% month over month increase. And the South still strong in comparison to the other regions at 89 on the pending home sale index. Month over month saw an increase at 6.7%. So the West has the highest month over month increase at 9.8%, and the South has the highest index as it relates to the other regions. Of course, all of this data to me really is impacted more by low interest rates in September. Also, NAR had an economic and housing market outlook. By the way, all of everything we share here will be available for you to download inside of BAMX. Go to Hot Sheet Show Notes. You can get the Hot Sheet Show Notes as well as the charts and all of that right inside of BAMX. Use code HOT to get the best price on BAMX today. So you see here that NAR's got their outlook for a move forward look into the market. This is as of how they're thinking about things in October 2024 right now. They've got the 10-year in quarter one staying at 3.8. I mean, that's also their projection right now for quarter four. So NAR looking at the 10-year saying, hey, it's going to come off of this 4.2, 4.3 number and average out at 3.8 for the quarter. That remains to be seen. 60 days left certainly could happen. You probably have to dip down to the 3.7 range again for that to happen. That should push rates back into the lower sixes if NAR is right on that. They've got a 3.8 number in quarter one of next year and 3.6 in quarter two. So NAR optimistic on the 10-year, which puts the 30-year fix at 6.1 for this quarter. Haven't been there all month. So again, NAR is kind of saying, hey, the next 60 days, we should see it hovering around 6% on the 30-year for 25 quarter one, and 5.9 for quarter two and 25. I think just looking at that September pending home sale data, anybody who's in the market trying to help people right now, any real estate professional trying to close the knowledge gap, trying to help people get to their goal, knows what 6% and 5.9 would mean for the spring market if that were to happen. I'm not ready to say that that's going to happen, but if it does, wow, I think we're kind of off and running in the spring. And, based on a seasonal time of year like September, when you don't have as much activity in the spring, and you did see pending home sales come off of, those bottoming out numbers. New or existing home sales, of course, we're running at a 3.84 million mark now. They have 4.1 here for quarter four. So, NAR is expecting home sales to go up to close out the year. On existing 4.3 million in quarter one of next year, 4.4 million on existing by quarter two of next year, and we were at 4 million for quarter two of this year on the seasonally adjusted, and then 4.5 for quarter three of next year, 4.6. So NAR on existing home sales, very bullish. Okay. My number, I would take the under on that. I'd love to see where they're at. But I actually did at the realtor.com meeting that I was at last week. Last week. We actually asked to put in our prediction, and my prediction was under these numbers. So it was over 4, but that might be something you maybe write down. Hey, what's your prediction from, say now for 12 months out on existing home sales, see how close you are there, but it might just be something fun to do. New single family sales, essentially staying where we're at. We're running at a 740,000. Got it going up the second half of next year. And there you go. Those are some of the big ones I thought that were worth pointing out on the NAR projections as they see it. Demand, according to realtor.com right now, rises as sellers are listing their homes and buying new ones. Okay. We did see an increase there in the pending home sales, again, off of a bottom number. I haven't seen an increase in sellers. So what is realtor.com's position here? September's rate drop and increase in new listings led to October's increase in pending sales. Yep. Agree with that. And could rising rates hinder October's momentum? Yes, they absolutely will. And so this is what we just said here. I think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see a drop off in October for sure. I think many people across the country have felt October's cooling off quite a bit. So realtor.com says September sellers not only listed their homes but bought new ones and sent a surge of demand into the market. According to the data on realtor.com, the rise in new listings seen in September was correlated to a rise in pending sales. And you know what? So the data here of just showing an increase, and the increase in new listings was, yes, an increase year over year. Again, coming off of, very much lows last year, the all-time lows in fact, with new listings for 2023. So yeah, we saw an increase in new listings. And yes, in October or in September, we saw the highest level since March of pending home sales. Those are both true. We're coming off of all-time low numbers, a real estate recession that is real, that has lasted for a couple of years. So getting off of the mat is a good thing. Okay. We need to be able to, standing 8 count, if you will. We need to be able to stay on our feet and not get on the mat as a market. That's where we want to head. That's where we need the momentum to go. So what realtor.com is saying is true. Pending home sales are up September. New listings were up September. I don't think that'll be the case in October. In fact, I'm quite certain that won't be the case in October when we look in the rearview mirror at the data. But it should give you some encouragement of the future. Okay. When you look at getting on the other side of January 1, when you look at, having certainty in, hopefully US politics, hopefully an economy and a consumer that can start to believe in what 2025 might look like, or at least have certainty that they know what it's going to look like, and clarity, and the other side of the holidays, and the other side of all that. I mean, maybe just get into a normalized year, or a more normalized year in 2025. The encouragement here on this data that realtor.com is pointing out is that, hey, a lot of buyers are going to be sellers. This is going to create an influx of more activity, and maybe NAR's numbers on the projections will be right. That you're going to see an abundance, or to feel like an abundance of existing home sales versus this year. You get another 600,000 existing home sales. That's 1.2 million sides into the market. It's a lot of, more help that is going to be needed in the market. And we already see a separation between the knowledge agents and the ones that are kind of marginalizing the industry and marginalizing their time and their effort and their knowledge, and consumers are steering away from that. So I think the encouraging sign again is that you're going to, be able to help people solve both the buy and the sell. That number sitting at about, 50% right now has been as high as 70% in recent years, where, a buyer also has a home to sell. That number is going to trend up significantly in 2025. If I'm an agent, I need to have a plan for that. How do I talk to my customers about the buy and sell scenario? And make sure you're asking that question very early on in the process, not in a begging manner. Do you have a house to sell? How about in an educational manner, right? Like, for the clients who make the most money in this market, here's what they're doing and how early they're preparing the listing, putting it on ice so that they can be more competitive on the buy side. More of a strategic approach to that conversation. Okay. Let's take a look now at jobless claims. For this week, we came in at 216,000, according to the Department of Labor news release this morning for the week ending October 26, 216,000. That was better than expected. The expectation was 230,000. The previous week's level was revised to 227, or from 227 to 228K. The 4-week moving average is 236. So this week, unemployment beat expectations, beat last week, beat the 4-week moving average, where less people were making these initial claims. That can be impacted a little bit. All the jobs right now, they keep pointing towards, hey, there's a lot of ways to look at the data. These could be impacted a little bit by the storms. And so just, caveat there. The current level of folks on unemployment is running at about a 1.8 million mark there on claims. Okay. 10-year again, taking another look, continuing to move up as we move through the hot sheet here, 4.32. Yesterday's 30-year fix came in at 7.02, 3 consecutive days on the 7 handle with the 30-year fixed. Again, CME Group calling a 96+% chance that next week, when the Fed meets, there will be a rate cut, and that rate cut will be 1/4 of a point. All right, there's your hot sheet here on this Halloween. Hope everybody stays safe, has a great day, and if you are not, the way to get the best access to all of this type of information so that it's usable tools for you and your business is to be a part of BAMX. Use code HOT to get the lowest price today on BAMX. With BAMX now, you get a Zoodealio platform absolutely free. If you go look up the Zoodealio platform price, you're going to be like, wait a minute, that's more than the BAMX price. and I get it for free. Yes, that's how how much Zudilio believes in the BAMX community. They want to be aligned with the right agents. Zudilio helps you get more listings today. We already have so many BAMX members creating offers for their sellers so that they're in a multiple offer situation starting on day one, so that those agents can compete with an iBuyer, or as well as using the data inside of Zudilio to get more listings and access to more listings. So every BAMX member has Zudilio platform as part of their BAMX membership, which includes monthly new courses, Friday done for you content, BAMX in a box, where we deliver done for you content for email strategy, social, as well as video script and blog strategy for you every single Friday. Our office hours and inside of the community, as well as all of the hot sheet show notes and charts. There's so much in BAMX. Consider it your terminal to get all of the most relevant information and tools out to your database and your clients and your customers. And this isn't 30-day old. We update this thing every single day because that's how fast the market is moving. Use code HOT to get into BAMX today. Hope everybody has a great Halloween once again and a great week. We'll see you back here. Actually, I'll see you over on Knowledge Brokers Pod tomorrow, where I interview Jack Miller, CEO of T360, about the opportunity report. Go over to Knowledge Brokers Podcast on YouTube or Spotify or Apple to make sure that you are also subscribed there so you don't miss that. Have a great day. Happy Halloween. And until tomorrow, toodaloo.